Well, howdy folks, I got another pistol to bring to you today, and this one I've actually had for a little while now, but I was kind of waiting on making a video on it because I couldn't quite make up my mind about it, whether or not I liked it, like 100% or not, but I figured I'd just bring it to y'all anyways. So, what we have is a Walther PDP, and you can see here, alright, very distinctive looking gun. Can't mistake it for anything else really once you take a nice solid look at it. And what I have writing on top here is a Holosun 507C. Yeah, Holosun 507C. I can't ever remember the naming conventions for Holosuns. They're just confusing. But this is the, maybe it'll show up there on the side if it'll focus there. This is the Holosun 507C ACSS version, green, not red. So hopefully I will be able to show that here. Let me just empty it out here. Hopefully you can see right there, that is very bright. You can see the really bright, vibrant green of the pistol dot there. It has the ACSS reticle, so it's got that little chevron style in the center there, but it also has a very large ring around that. Now the cool thing about this is that the way that was designed is if you go to present, and if you present your pistol should I say incorrectly for the dot, that ring is basically going to show you where you're off as far as like left, right, up, down for presenting the pistol and getting the reticle on target. So if you if you present this correctly, right, you won't see the ring at all. All you're going to see is that little chevron in the center, and that's exactly what you want to see. That'll let you know you are right on target to where you need to be for well, aiming purposes. So that's a cool little feature that the ACSS reticle has for this particular green dot. I know the technical term is red dot, but it's green, so I'm going to call it a green dot. Now, so yeah, Walther PDP. This is the one of the earlier models. So there actually is a Gen 2 model out there, technically Gen 2, that has a different kind of like milling cut here in the slide, and Walther actually has pretty good documentation about the differences for the slides and how they're cut to accept different optics and things. So if you have a newer PDP, it's probably going to be the Gen 2 model. If you have one of the earlier ones, you're going to have the old style cuts in there. So I would absolutely reference Walther's documentation on that to see which one you have, because it will affect your optics choices later. So this is a early model, Gen 1. I'm using that air quotes, Gen 1, because it's not officially designated as a Gen 1, but that's just what I call it. Anyway, so this is the compact frame if you want to call it a compact, with the full-length 5-inch barrel slide combination. And this one was absolutely going to be my favorite of the PDP configurations because I love long slides, long barrels, and I wouldn't say chopped frames, but frames that just have just enough grip for me to get a full kind of hand on it. So to me, this actually feels like a full-size pistol to me, even though it says it's a compact frame. To me, this feels like a regular full-size pistol. Now, the full-size PDP does have even a longer grip with 17-round magazines. So I guess, whatever naming convention, size convention you want to use for that, sure, whatever. But to me, I think this is plenty of grip for most people, and the full-size one is probably going to be a bit large. But I guess, you get those dudes out there who are like 6'2", 6'4", whatever, on a short day, and, their freaking fingers and hands are just giganto. They're probably going to like the full-size PDP a lot better than me and my 6-foot even little skinny self. So, so the PDP does come in various configurations. So there's like the 4-inch model, the 4.5-inch model, and the 5-inch. Of course, I like the longer barrel and sight radius myself because, longer sight radius means more accurate shooting. It doesn't make the gun more mechanically accurate, but it makes it easier to shoot itty-bitty groups at longer distances for sure. It does have a somewhat of a, I would say, a negative drawback to it that I'll explain later during the shooting experience, but it's not too important, but it's something to consider. My biggest gripe, though, is that Walther just absolutely refuses to go back to paddle magazine releases, and that drives me nuts because I am a huge proponent of like the HK VP9 original PPQ M1 style that had the paddle magazine releases here, right here on the frame. Walther just refuses to go back to those for whatever reason. It drives me nuts because I think it's the better magazine release system. Now, if you look at something like the Walther WMP, that 22 Magnum pistol, looks kind of similar to an old school PPQ. It's got like 10 magazine releases on that thing. It's crazy. So it's got the paddles on both sides, button mag release on both sides, and you just look at the pistol and it'll drop the mag out. But I really, really wish they had a PDP that had paddle magazine releases. I would absolutely love that, but they don't for now. So I'll have to settle with the traditional magazine button release here that the quote-unquote American market loves so much. So it is very functional though. Like, I have absolutely no problem hitting that with my thumb. It's situated perfectly for me right there. No problems at all whatsoever, and it really pops those mags out. So another cool feature is the compact frame here. So if you have any PDP that has a compact frame like this one here, you can use any PPQ M2 magazines, full-size ones. I know there's the SC out there as well. But PPQ M2 magazines with a little red follower like that all fit in the compact PDP frame. And I thought that was a very good idea because PPQs are, of course, quite popular, and they've been out in the market for years and years and years. So the magazines are also out there and have been out there for years and years and years. So it's very nice to be able to just go into a shop and say, hey, I want a PDP / a PPQ M2 magazine. And some of the packages, even like the factory Walther packages, still list these as PPQ M2 magazines. Now, obviously, you can't use the M1 magazines because it's a different style of magazine release, so it's not going to sit properly in this. But, nice idea that they have so much backwards compatibility with the PPQ, right? And that goes for internal parts too. If you look at Walther's own documentation, they actually break out all the parts that are PPQ and PDP compatible. And I think that's pretty awesome for a lot of reasons. Backwards compatibility is always nice, especially for such a popular pistol that's been around for a long time, such as the PPQ. I'm getting my P's and D's and Q's mixed up. So it is quite nice that they provide documentation for that. That is a very good thing that Walther does, because there are other companies out there, SIG, that has almost no documentation on how their parts fit together. So a very big plus up for me for Walther. They also changed up the sights a little bit here. So I believe the PDPs are compatible with your standard like Glock 19, 17, 22, whatever sights. So, and that certainly seems to be the case here because there's no dovetail here on the front. So I'm assuming you open this up on the bottom just like a Glock, and there's like a little hex nut on there that holds the front sight on. And of course the rear sight as well has a very small dovetail, as you can see there. These are not Glock brand sights though, because if you look back here, you can see it's your standard 3-dot white dot contrast sight, whatever sight picture. Pretty standard, pretty simple. The cool part is though, I've got something to point with. So if you look here in the rear sight, you have two little holes there. Those are the adjustment knobs basically for the rear sight. So PDPs come with fully adjustable rear sights from the factory, and that is awesome. I love that. That way you don't have to take it to a smith and have him like kind of hammer it a little bit to try to move the rear sight into the dovetail just right to get it on target. You can just sit there yourself with a little bitty screwdriver that comes in the case, by the way, to adjust your rear sight to where you want it to be for point of aim, point of impact, or however you want to set it up at whatever distance. I think that should be a standard feature for pretty much every pistol to have fully adjustable sights, but that's just me. The mounting system on this for your optics is not ideal. I never really liked the whole like you have to buy the plates separately from the manufacturer, or you have to special order them, which is what Walther did with these. Any PDP you buy is supposed to have a voucher for basically your one optics plate that you get to order from Walther, and it takes like a few weeks to get to your place in the mail. I've never liked that kind of system, so it took, I want to say, maybe a month for them to get a plate for me to actually put this on here. So I went out of my way and went to I can't forget. I forgot the company name, but there's a company out there that makes PDP optic plates for every style that there is out there, for every kind of optic plate footprint, if you will. And I ordered it from them, and of course that plate got to me sooner than Walther's own factory plate did. So yeah, go figure. So I did order a aftermarket plate for the Leopold Delta Point Pro footprint, and then the factory plate I got from Walther is of course for the I believe this is the RMR footprint for whatever fits the Holosun 507C. I believe it's the RMR footprint, but yeah, ordered that from Walther, put that on here, put it all together, boom, fits just fine, locks up just tight. As you can see, it sits pretty low in the cut there. Maybe not the lowest, but it's pretty low. So if you were going to put like suppressor height sights, Glock brand suppressor height sights on this, you could absolutely get that that kind of co-witness that people like. I don't personally like having co-witness irons with my pistol dots because I just, the sight picture for me gets just way too busy. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a red dot on your pistol, but that's just me. This pistol also too, when I got this, was kind of like a test bed for me to really see just how good the red dot or optic system on a pistol could be. Because Walther's marketing was all about like, this is the most best pistol ever for red dots. It was designed from the ground up for red dots. In fact, it has a little lip thing here that really draws your hand in and presents better for red dots. And I'm like, is it though? Is it, or is it just more marketing speak? I was kind of leaning more towards marketing speak. I was skeptical, So I figured if I was going to have a pistol that did have, good optics and everything, that was your standard, 9mm pistol, not something crazy like my Glock 40 10mm with a, barrel that's like this long. I figured this would be a good platform to test my standard kind of 9mm optics. So I did, and it's actually been shooting pretty darn well. So we'll get to the shooting. Walther PDPs and PPQs are known for having very, very excellent triggers, and this is absolutely no exception. Maybe I can illustrate that here for you. So it has their PDT, whatever marketing speak trigger they have. The point is, it's a really damn good trigger. So there's your take up there, and a little bit of pressure, you're already at the wall. A little bit of take up, boom, right there. Oof. Very, very clean. Now, we'll do the reset. Right there. Ooh, very positive, tactile. All those good things that reset nerds talk about. Trigger on this is absolutely fantastic. It's almost too light, and it almost resets too fast for me, because there have actually been times where I'm shooting this at the range, and under the recoil and everything, I try to ride the reset a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. And before I even mean to shoot the next shot, it's already going off again, and I was like, whoa. Of course, the good part with that is because, with my recoil control and everything, with having a dot on there, usually that second shot that is unintentional, right, actually ends up being in the same hole as the first shot. So I'm kind of like, this thing can double tap really, really well. So that's awesome. Yeah, so trigger, awesome, absolutely awesome. The recoil, though, is something that I was not expecting with this. So, like I mentioned earlier, this is the 5-inch barrel and slide, right? So you have a lot of mass up here on the top here moving around. You can see just how much that moves back there, right? So this whole thing is going back, and then, of course, sliding back forward. That makes for a pretty snappy experience as well, because this gun has virtually no weight in the frame. So the frame here basically weighs nothing. This is ultra light. There is just nothing in here. It feels almost lighter than a Glock, to be honest. And if you look at the specs and the stats for this 5-inch compact model, it doesn't weigh hardly anything. Like, you compare it to like a Glock 19, Glock 17, this gun doesn't hardly weigh anything, which is incredible to me. All the weight is up here in the slide. But I also noticed too, when I was taking this apart and everything, oops, there's a recoil spring. So up here, there's absolutely nothing. There's no weight. There's no anything. It's just a plastic sleeve, basically, that captures the recoil spring here. And they did that on purpose because they wanted to use the same length style recoil spring for all the PDP models that they could. So instead of making a full length guide rod spring that fit the entire channel here, they just left basically a spacer here that has no weight. But That's big, long 5-inch barrel. But there's just not a whole lot going on the slide here, to be honest. So the whole gun really just doesn't weigh hardly anything, which can be a good thing depending on what you want to do with it. But in some cases, for recoil control and shootability, it's not always the best thing. I believe Ian McCollum said that everything in gun design is a trade-off, right? So you can have an ultralight pistol, but it's going to recoil a lot. And it's not because the 9mm necessarily has a whole lot of recoil on its own, it's just the physics of it, right? So this to me is quite snappy for a 9mm pistol, almost to the point where I didn't like shooting it that much, because if you're trying to maintain really, really tight recoil control over this pistol for like rapid fire, accurate shooting, this thing is a little hard to tame in its stock configuration like this, because it's just jumping around all over the place, more than another, I'm not going to say more conventional 9mm pistol, but other 9mm pistols like my VP9, for instance, or a SIG 320, doesn't jump around anywhere near as much as this one does. So it surprised me a little bit, to be honest. So it surprised some of the people at the range too, because the guy next to me asked, when I was shooting this, he's like, "Hey, is that a 40 cal?" And I said, "No, man, it's a 9mm." He's like, "Wow, that's recoiling a lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." So it's not an unpleasant recoil. Like, it doesn't hurt my hand, because honestly, the ergonomics on this pistol are freaking fantastic. It's just, if my usual kind of, so I target shooting, I have two different ways of gripping pistols. If I'm trying to be very, very quick, fast shooting, not worrying so much about accuracy, I have a very firm, tight grip over my pistol, and I can, really bearing down on it for recoil control. And the other way I shoot is kind of a more relaxed, like I'm still holding onto the pistol, but I'm not death gripping it. I'm not, being like super tight on it. I'm just kind of letting it sit there, very easy with the trigger, and kind of letting it recoil as it goes. So when I do that kind of target shooting kind of grip, this thing jumps a lot, So for those, I guess, that are just more skilled in recoil control, maybe it may not be such a big issue for you, but this thing definitely does snap around quite a bit, because it just doesn't weigh anything. This thing is super, super light. So I guess props to the Walther engineers on figuring out how to do that by getting, this is a full-size pistol to me with a 5-inch barrel, and making it weigh basically nothing. It's pretty impressive, to be honest. So so shootability, great ergonomics. This grip is absolutely fantastic. I mean, Walther is known for the ergonomics, right? PPQs feel amazing in hand. PPS feels awesome in hand. Walther is just very, very on point with their ergonomics. So ergonomics are great. Controls are great. It's ambidextrous slide release. Trigger is fantastic, of course, to the point where it surprises even me. So that's awesome. Accuracy. Now, so if you look also in Walther's documentation for this pistol, this thing actually has a pretty unique chamber, in the sense that it's very, very tight, and they say it's a good thing because it increases the I guess, like, lockup or the tightness of like the bullet in the chamber and everything, and how it sits. So they say it increases velocity, and there actually is documented proof of that. If you look on other YouTube videos that have chronographs, I don't have a chronograph, unfortunately, the velocities they get out of a PDP pistol versus a similarly lengthed pistol barrel, the PDP is actually very slightly higher than the others. So there is some truth to that. And also, if you look at any brass that's fired from a PDP, you will actually see a very small, like on the casing itself, you'll see a very small, like, kind of carbon ring towards the front of the casing. So that is absolutely, the special chamber that they use for these guns. And they say that it also increases accuracy, which I'm kind of inclined to believe, because my very, very first shots with this gun, I'm talking like first 15 round magazine I shot out of this thing at 25 yards. I took it out to 25 yards, by the way. I didn't start at 10. I didn't start at 15. I took this sucker out to 25 yards, iron sights, no optic, just bare bones stock pistols. Took it out 25, and I got repeated 2-inch groups at 25 yards with this thing. So that was just, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I was very, very ecstatic with that. You know, for a pistol I've never shot before, have no experience with, and you know, it just knocked it out of the friggin' park. So the accuracy is absolutely 100% there, and it got more consistent and better once I put the optic on. So I can make tiny little holes at 25 yards with this gun if I do my part with this optic. It's almost cheating, to be honest. Pretty much every single person that I have given this pistol to, they say it's too easy. There's no challenge in shooting this thing at long distance against steel plates, paper, whatever you want to take this thing to and shoot with. Like, everyone has said that this is, like, they don't believe it's that easy to shoot this gun that well, and I'm like, yeah, it is. So what I use this as like a kind of like a beginner's gun to kind of give them an idea of like how well they can do with certain setups and equipment. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So yeah, the shooting experience was fantastic, phenomenal. Reliability, I've had absolutely no malfunctions with this pistol at all whatsoever with any of the magazines. So I have the extended 17 round mags here. So it's just a 15 round magazine body with a +2 extension on the bottom. And of course the standard 15 round magazines, which fit, of course, flush with the bottom there. And then of course your extended 17 rounds right there. It makes the gun kind of tall and big and chunky, but I mean, this gun is already pretty big and chunky. I mean, you look at that slide. I mean, when they were talking about those rough texture finishes or rough texture serrations, whatever they call it, I can't remember the marketing speak, but yeah, those serrations are freaking huge and quite functional, I would say. So I like them, anyways. You know, it makes it look very modern. So yeah, overall, this PDP is awesome. Like, I initially had misgivings about it because, like I said, the just the snappiness of this didn't make it super pleasant to shoot, at least for me, because I just felt like I was doing something wrong. Because I was like, man, I'm trying to control this gun under recoil, but it's just so damn snappy. Like, is my grip wrong? Is my technique wrong? Is my control wrong for this? Am I just not as good a shooter as I thought I was? I didn't know. Or is it just this gun? And I found out it's pretty much just this gun. So I was kind of apprehensive about that. I was just like, I don't know. But the repeated, consistent accuracy that I've been getting with this, with pretty much everything, and how this thing is shooting with the green dot on it, oh man, it's just like, it's like I said, it's almost too easy. So you know, if I want to win a bet with somebody, you know, this is probably the one I'm gonna, you know, take out and use if I'm not using my VP9, that is. So I would say, you know, despite the optic plate situation as well with the Gen 1, Gen 2, and then having to order from Walther and having to wait a whole month to get it and blah, blah, blah. Especially if you're buying a PDP that's used, right, and someone already used that voucher for the optics plate, that's going to suck. You're pretty much going to be SOL there. And I'm sure, well, I'm not even sure now, but Walther may have your plates that you need for your optic in their online shop, but I wouldn't guarantee it being in stock. They seem to have supply issues with that, and I really wish they'd figure that out, because, you know, if you're going to market a pistol to be all like the latest and greatest, bestest, awesomest thing ever for pistol optics, you really should have every single optics plate in stock in your online web store all the time, forever. You know, so not having them in stock, you know, it's just, they could have executed that better, you know? So, in the future, do I hope that they come out with a paddle, like maybe even like a limited edition paddle magazine release for the PDP? Yes. Oh my God, I would go crazy for that. I would also love to see a threaded barrel for the 5-inch model, and maybe some more aftermarket for the PDP to come out, like if they came out with like a tungsten guide rod recoil spring like they have for Glocks, right? Put that tungsten in here in the front. I think that would really, really help add some weight to this frame and to this gun to kind of keep the recoil control more manageable and more on par with other pistols. So some people might see the lightweight of this as being an absolute plus. Like, could you like trek around and camp out with this gun and like have it not weigh a whole lot and not be a boat anchor on your side or in your pack or something? Absolutely, absolutely. This would be an excellent choice for that. But there are definitely things that could be improved on the PDP. And I hope the aftermarket really does take off, and we start seeing a lot more things come out for this gun, because it's just really nice. Even stock, it's just really nice, but it definitely needs something to do with the recoil control. So anyway, I think that about covers it. So yeah, really nice looking pistol, shoots very, very well. This is classic Walther in pretty much every way. Ergonomics are on point, accuracy, quality, marksmanship, everything, all that stuff, putting it all together, man, you got yourself a great pistol. A part of me really does also want to try the PDP F series, because when I held those things in the shop, wow, that frame, like whatever they did with, like, they said they changed like the length of pull here between the front of the trigger and the back of the gun here. The frame is just slimmer overall, so it's not as thick here. All those changes they made for the PDP-F, I actually really do want to try it, and I would be curious to see if, like, I think it's like a 3.5 inch or 4 inch PDP-F model, whatever the biggest PDP-F model they have. I want to see if I can take a 5 inch slide like this and throw that on the PDP-F and see how that shoots, because this grip is already fantastic and just fits my hand really, really well. I really do want to see how the PDP-F will feel in comparison to the full size or compact frame 5 inch barrel, right? So that would be really, really cool to see. But anyway, yeah, this is your just regular old standard box standard PDP. I highly recommend these things. I think for the prices they are charging for these also, there's hardly any reason to get a standard Glock when you can get a PDP like this. The ergonomics are just so much better. The accuracy is there. The trigger is better. I mean, when you're talking like stock configuration, there's almost no reason, I think, to get a Glock over a Walther or even HK VP9. Okay, I got to throw that in there. So yeah, awesome gun. Highly recommend, especially also if you want to do your optics here, minus the getting the plates and things like that. But if you have your favorite optic and that you're only going to run that optic and nothing else, then I think you'll be just fine. I mean, this Holosun is basically going to live on this gun pretty much forever. So a little bit of review on the Holosun as well. Maybe I'll do at some point. But this thing has been working absolutely great. I love the green. I love the ACSS reticle. I love the chevron. I love all that stuff. So I think it makes for quite a good, kind of package deal. Putting these two together and getting some really, really great accuracy, both speed and accuracy as well. Not just shooting like tiny little groups, but also being able to do it quickly. So yeah, I really do like how this has turned out. And we'll see what Walther does with it in the future. But I would love to get a threaded barrel for this someday. But yeah, we'll have to see. So anyway, thought I'd bring it to you guys finally after having this pistol for, gosh, I would say maybe over a year now. I guess whenever these things first came out, I worked at a drug deal with a friend of mine who was trying these pistols out as well, and he didn't quite like this version, so I bought it off him. But yeah, I'd say it was a good deal for sure. So I'm very happy with this pistol. It is a high recommend from me. So anyway, if you guys got questions about this or maybe the optic itself, like I said, I really should just do like a separate review for this optic, because I did try it for a time on my Glock 10mm, but it's going to live on this gun for sure. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that, and let me know if you guys got any questions, and we'll catch you next time.